attract people from the other side, most of them actually hate him. We have to understand that they are bitter and twisted against him. And the only way through to these people is to make them understand that this is not about Donald Trump. This is about good and evil. Just so you know, with regard to the election, we're all pretty aware that the Democrats were doing everything they could to rig the election. Now, about 6 weeks ago, I said that I thought that this election would be held using the old system, the old voting system, to expose them. I had a sneaky feeling that they were going to do this, knowing that they had the quantum voting system in the background. There was a certain comment that kept coming up on Donald Trump's tweets about watching the water. And I'll be honest with you, when he talked about watching the water, I thought he meant about the dams in China. That was my thought process. I've learned this morning, and late last night, the water that we should have been watching was the watermark. Every official ballot paper in America has a watermark in it. The Democrats were completely unaware of this. And this watermark was verified by Amy Coney Barrett when she took office before the vote. She verified that the documentation, the watermark in the paper, was correct before all the official ballot papers went out. So if a vote came in on an unofficial ballot paper, which they looked on the outside to be exactly the same, but they didn't have the watermark. And the quantum system was able to pick up on that. So Donald Trump knows exactly how much he won by. And I'm led to believe it's around 80% across the board. But this will be now in the Supreme Court for them to judge. Now, the evidence is absolutely damning. And the fact that Amy Coney Barrett actually verified the paper for the official ballots, and they didn't know anything about it. She was obviously the only person that knew this, and she was under an NDA about this. So that every fake ballot can now very easily be spotted. And so the great news is that Donald Trump won the election convincingly by about 80%. A complete and utter landslide. The mainstream media and everybody out there that's pumping out stuff are not aware that the team behind the scenes have all of the information and all of the ammunition to go before the Supreme Court. Now, on top of that, on top of the fact that the ballot paper had a watermark in that nobody knew about, 5 states had more votes than there was people in the state registered to vote. Now, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to work that one out, that something was wrong. And somebody's picked up on there, which I loved, Donald Trump playing 5D chess. He's actually a master at chess and can play 5 games at the same time, for your information. He's a genius at chess. And we're just seeing, for those who woke up this morning thinking, shit, what's happening? I went to bed and he was leading. I've woken up and he's losing. You don't need to worry. You don't need to worry one little bit. This is the most exciting day in history because they've been caught red-handed. And Amy Coney Barrett knew all about it from the start. So she was completely briefed on what was going to happen. And this is why the official ballot paper was watermarked. And it couldn't be visually seen, otherwise the Democrats would have known. So it's fairly easy to spot the scam that they were up to. And that's one of a number of different scams that they were trying to do. They were trying to destroy Trump votes. They were trying to use the wrong, they were using certain types of pencils that were not allowed. They tried every trick in the book, but this is all part of the plan. I've said from day one, trust the plan. The plan has been extremely well thought out. They will not make any mistakes. This
and welcome. And Mary is a world-renowned reporter, analyst, writer for the American Report, and so much more. So
Thank you, Susan.
Oh, I love you. You're just such a wonderful human being and come from a great family.
Thank you. That's so nice. Well, I'm lucky to have you as a good friend.
Oh, thanks, Mary. Well, let's tell Charlie what's going on, what you're about, and your connection with generals and what you're doing.
Well, General McInerney, I'm sorry I'm late. We had an interview together and it just went over, so I beg your pardon. Right now, what we're most concerned about, I've written about many things, about the ports and about the threats. I do national security work. You can find my work at the Center for Security Policy.org. It's a think tank, and also at the American Report. Right now, we're terribly concerned about something that's just taken place, and that is the election that was just stolen. We know, and because I've written maybe 25 pieces about this, that there was a super surveillance system that was put in place in 2003. That system was put in place to protect America after 9/11. It was known as the Hammer. The Hammer worked to keep America safe, and it was used to keep terrorists from coming inside this country, but also to protect our men on the battlefield. The Hammer was the super surveillance system that was operated by our military and the Department of Defense and the DIA. The Hammer was commandeered, aka stolen, on February 3rd, 2009 by John Brennan, James Clapper, and they turned the hammer, instead of on our enemies, on the American people, on our Supreme Court justices, 156 Article 3 judges, 109 members of Congress, every 38 million everyday Americans. They were using the hammer for the purpose of blackmail and leverage. But for the purpose of right now, what is so important, the hammer had an application or an exploit that was known as scorecard. The scorecard has the ability, using prismatic scoring algorithms, to steal or flip the vote. The Obama administration used that exploit, scorecard, in 2012 with the help of James Clapper and John Brennan. They stole the Florida elections in 2012. What happened then was Dennis Montgomery, who created the hammer to keep America safe and was working as a CIA contractor for John Brennan and James Clapper, became a whistleblower because they turned it on America, as he said, for the purposes of blackmail and leverage. He went to the FBI, the DOJ, he handed over 47 hard drives. Those hard drives were verified. He testified under oath in a secure SCIF. He holds a TS SCI with access to SAP security clearance. That's your top security clearance. The Hammer was an SAP program. Brennan and Clapper with Obama turned it against their political enemies.
Wow.
Understand they're stealing America and freedom.
Wow. That's a heavy load you've been dealing with, Mayor.
Well, you all know Ronald Reagan's quote, if the lights go out here, they go out everywhere. And if you just have an inkling of how these people behaved under this pandemic, understand, you're not allowed to go to church. You have to go in, stay in your house. We're going to put infected people in nursing homes, and you could not have done that without understanding you were going to infect a lot of people and kill them.
Right. And submission. Yeah.
You've just confirmed everything that I knew with regard to this being a war not between Democrats and Republicans. It's a war between good and evil. And don't ever underestimate how evil can be, because that will be your downfall. Evil is now showing their hands, and Mary, you've just described it exactly as I understand it. They've turned against the American people, and this is evil that is doing it. I was talking to a young man called Young Pharaoh, and he was saying to me, you've got good and bad, but when you go from bad to evil, there is no coming back. These people are on the side of evil against not just America, against the world. And Donald Trump, I can assure you, Mary, will win this battle, because God has his hand on Donald Trump, and evil can't stand up to that. They're in the death roll right now, the death throes right now, up against Donald Trump and his team. And yes, it may look like they've stolen the election, but you have one good thing in America is that Donald Trump is still your president, because it will have to go through a process. And what that process will be, I don't exactly know, but there will be a process that goes through where he will expose them for what they are.
Yeah.
Yes.
From a Republican Party that hasn't had a backbone. You're not going to... I think the Democrats are used to this from a Republican Party that hasn't had a backbone. You're not going to see that this time around. That party is gone, and anyone that doesn't fight like that should go with it. I think the Democrats...
Okay, and because remember, in the Oval Office, I'm the guy arguing for a 44% tax on all income over $5 million. Because I told the donors, I said, if we don't get this thing sorted, you're going to have a left-wing populism, and they're not coming for your income; they're coming for your assets. Okay, it's going to be just like Europe. And Pocahontas on her, she punches out 2% at $50 million and 3% at $1 billion on tax on assets, which we never had, and that's an opening bid. Okay, you're going to start seeing this be a constant on the left. And I've told these donors that you got to understand something. We have to make fundamental changes to this neo-feudalistic system. People have to start to get ownership. They have to get ownership in the companies. They have to get ownership in real estate. Incomes have to start to rise. The Wall Street Journal can't go through meltdown when wages starting to rise. Inflation coming back. Incomes rising. So there has to be fundamental change. And so I knew right away that something was going on. There were all kind of knife fights during the transition. But it really got ugly after about the second week in there. And it really started getting ugly, not about immigration. They were ugly. The biggest fights were about China and trade. And that's because the reason is we had so many Wall Street guys. And look, I worked at Goldman Sachs. We had Goldman Sachs guys in there who were basically the IR department. The investors, Goldman Sachs and Wall Street is the investor relations partner for the Chinese CCP, this radical cadre that runs China. This is not about the Chinese people. This is about a radical cadre that runs the Chinese Communist Party that has a totalitarian mercantilist system that is incompatible with the system we have in the West. One side will win and one side will lose. So very early on in the first couple of weeks of the administration, this confrontation with China and its economic war became the most explosive thing. It's where all the knife fights came. All the McMaster stuff, the Cohen stuff, Mnuchin, myself, Jared, the nationalist and the globalist divide was because of that, and then many other issues. Whether it's putting stuff in the, because remember, Obama and Bush, the globalist, support this kind of, they turn the military into kind of this humanitarian expeditionary force, right? They want to be everywhere, sticking their nose in everybody's business. They're just dying to get up into Syria. Syria is a place they got to get up into because the Russians are in Syria, right? And my point is, hey, American foreign policy for 50 years has had one thing in the Middle East: keep Russia out, okay? And Obama's watch and Kerry's, whatever they're doing with Iran, Russia got a foothold in the Middle East. Well, you ain't going to get them out of there, okay? It's just not going to happen. And so anything that you're doing, get up there, they want to get it on with Russia. They are maniacally focused on Russia, a country with a economy smaller than New York State, that's in a total demographic death spiral, that doesn't make anything, that has, it wouldn't exist if Germany and these countries in Europe wouldn't do natural gas deals with them. Yet we have an existential threat. The greatest existential threat we've ever had in the country's history is this totalitarian mercantilist society in China, which has One Belt, One Road, Made in China 2025, and 5G rollout converging to take away advanced manufacturing in perpetuity. And yet you have the corporatists and you have Wall Street, who have all made money. Remember, the decline of America is inextricably linked to the shipping of its manufacturing base to China. It's the Wall Street faction. This is what Donald Trump understood in 2010. Donald Trump today, when he goes out and speaks about China, you could literally take it from what he said in 2010. He understood the facts of the case then. And it's been the biggest thing we've done as a government is in 2 years, we now are confronted China in the true economic war they've been running on us. That is the single big, when history looks back over this thing, all the other Twitter madness and everything, they will look at the signal and the noise. And the signal is a great power struggle, as we personified or manifested in the first national security document that ever came out of the first national security plan that came out in December of 2017, said global radical jihad is a problem. It's a containable problem. Here's how we're containing it. Now the two great threats to the country are, it's a great power struggle. And they put Russia in there, but it was basically China's gone from a strategic partner to a strategic competitor, right? And then today, you're seeing the Secretary of Defense say today we got three issues: China, China, China. That is what Trump reoriented, and from the very first days of the administration, the nastiest fights by an order of magnitude were about trade and about this engagement with China.
Let's talk about China and the U.S. are in some way fundamentally antagonistic to each other. Then we're in a completely different world.
In the age of AI, a new reality is emerging. That with so much accumulated investment and intellectual power, the world is already dominated by just two AI superpowers. That's the premise of a new book written by Kai-Fu Lee.
Hi, I'm Kai-Fu.
Dr. Lee.
Hi.
So nice to meet you.
Chili, nice to meet you.
Yes.
Look at all these dog ears. I love that.
Like that?
But that.
That the computers beat the humans. It was that, one type of intelligence beat another.
Artificial intelligence had proven it could marshal a vast amount of data beyond anything any human could handle, and use it to teach itself how to predict an outcome. The commercial implications were enormous.
While AlphaGo is a toy game, but its success and its waking everyone up, I think, is going to be remembered as the pivotal moment where AI became mature and everybody jumped on the bandwagon.
This is about the consequences of that defeat. How the AI algorithms are ushering in a new age of great potential and prosperity. But an age that will also deepen inequality, challenge democracy, and divide the world into two AI superpowers. Tonight, 5 stories about how artificial intelligence is changing our world.
During the 2020 presidential election, quantum financial system blockchain watermarked ballots were part of a huge Trump and military white hat sting operation. The sting took place in 12 key battleground states where 20,000 plus National Guards were deployed. The alliance made sure that every official voting ballot had a watermark that couldn't be seen as votes were put into the system. The quantum computer verified if the ballot was valid or not. Trump won the 2020 presidential election by 80%. I want to say by more. The Democratic cabal was caught red-handed. Mass arrests have started. At this moment, Biden crime family and ballot fraud co-conspirators were being arrested and detained for ballot fraud. All were now headed to Gitmo as election interference went before the Supreme Court.
We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
All right. Spectre ink is ethanol-based corn ink, invisible ink that can only be seen with night vision. Is the military inspecting ballots with infrared vision for an invisible wet mark on all official 2020 election ballots? So here you can see the black ink here, and here's the corn ink over here. Spectre ink is ethanol-based corn ink, invisible ink that can only be seen with night vision. This one over here, the corn ink, it seems is the one that is the official ballot. Is the military inspecting ballots with infrared night vision for an invisible wet mark on all official 2020 election ballots? U.S. Code 2385, advocating overthrow of government. Whoever knowingly or willfully advocates, abets, advises, or teaches the duty, necessity, desirability, or propriety of overthrowing or destroying the government of the United States or the government of any state, territory, district, or possession thereof, or the government of any, and it goes on. CISA watermarked all ballots that were sent out to registered and legal voters before Election Day. The Dems didn't know about the watermark. Trump told them about the watermark just before all major swing states froze. All right, you guys. Thank you to each and every one of you guys for your support to us here. For those of you who wish to support this channel, go to paypal@themelons@gmail.com. I just want to say a quick prayer. Heavenly Father God, we pray. Thank you to everyone around the globe yesterday and during this entire time for emailing us and sharing with us their research and stuff. Thank you to each and every one of you. Thank you to the chief that wrote to us yesterday. Thank you to everyone sharing with us all their different email groups that we were able to share with. We just want to say thank you. We want to put a hedge of protection around all that is good globally. Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, the Army, the Navy, the military, and the Marines. And Psalms 121, I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made the heaven and the earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will neither slumber nor sleep. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper, the Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. He shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. Attention Office of Interpol, attention Office of the International Criminal World Court, the Army, the Navy, the military, the Marines, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. Jay Clayton doing business as Securities and Exchange Commissioner. Also, Joseph Otting doing business for the head for the Office of the Comptroller of Currency. Also, the Federal Bureau of Investigations heads. Also, Interpol, the Fraud Department, the Federal Trade Commission, Antitrust Department, and the Clearinghouse Department. Also, Louis DeJoy doing business as Postmaster General, and the Universal Postal Union heads. I come to you in good faith in one's proper person as a living flesh and blood, sentient being, suri juris, suri heirs, heir to the world's vast estate, holding the highest diplomatic office. AA 222-141-449-59344. As an American Indian, allodial title Moorish American National, Reubenite Tribe Chief, Rubus Red Rose Angel in Latin, to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for sharing all this information with us this night. Thank you for following through with everything we have stated in these affidavits. Continue to do what you do. We need you to go over to Texas right now. It's been reported to us in the comment section that people over there need food. I think they said the food stamps, I think it was red wine. We'd already shared it with you. Go now and see to it the people around the globe have the food that they require and the notes they need, and remove the rest of the corrupted heads as you're doing currently. Thank you for that. Thank you for implementing everything here we have requested, suggested, and commanded that you do. And we just wanted to say thank you. By Noble Honorable Ange L. Enid Alpha L. Reubenite Tribe Chief, American Indian, allodial title Moorish American National, UCC 1-308. Without recourse, all rights reserved. I stand by the Book of Ruth, by my deceased organ harvested husband Jackson and myself. And tokolo takanai takono he takanai takono ho kokoina ha takanai takinai he takano tokoina ha takanai taki nena kai tokono he ina na ki ne takan nona no koi tarala takanai taka. I want to thank my people around the globe here, King Horatio Bay, King Carl Copper Aborigines, Queen Red Wine, Queen Kiki Smith, and all the people who generously support us here with information and their research and their insights and their knowledge. I really want to give a huge thank you to Charlie Ward, Prime Minister, and all the people on the channel, on the Charlie Ward channel. You guys go there and join that now. Remember to join the Noble L, the second channel, and the Noble L, the first channel. Remember to support us here. You guys go to paypal@themelons@gmail.com. For those of you who ticket citations, mortgages, foreclosures. In the meantime, in between time, we have done on people have shared with us the GSA bonds they have done to recoup set-off, to get set-offs for child support cases, mortgages, foreclosures, ticket citations, utilities, auto loans, student loans, and warrants. And for those of you in jail doing business as, or having to see an agent doing business as parole officer, and those of you in the churches doing business as jails, that we've been reported now that the United States corporation is now defunct, and they're going back to the original Constitution and the common law. As it was reported by Charlie Ward that he noticed that when Donald Trump gave a speech yesterday, the yellow fringe around the flag was no more, which states to all of us conscious that the Admiral Maritime Law, the laws of the sea, the United Nations running everything, is now removed. So all those agents globally doing business as so-called de facto heads pretender lenders, pretender governance, they are now all being rounded up and arrested for treason, fraud, and genocide globally. It was also reported to us that in the United Kingdom, the people over there were to stand up. I think it was either yesterday at 6 o'clock or this evening at 6 o'clock, as all of their agents over there will be rounded up as well too. And I'm suspecting the rest of the globe. Now we're asking here for the rain to stop. As you guys know, it's been raining here for, I want to say, 6 days or more straight. The infrastructure here can't withstand that kind of rain. So we know Mother Nature doesn't do things like that. So we're asking that but the angels are telling us there's a DUMS in South America that is controlling the weather here, and we're asking for that DUM to be taken down. Thank you in advance for your speedy response to that matter. By Noble, Honorable Ange, Elena D. Alphabet, El Rubinite Tribe Chief, American Indian, Lodio Tatamorish, American National, UCC 1-308, without recourse, all rights reserved. So you guys can email us for the 1099 OID, the promissory note. Those of you who've shared stuff with that, that you've gotten your stuff freely, and that we ask that you remember to come back to us and support us here for the stuff that we've shared with you, right? Also for the Chain to the Sky book, the herbology book, and our book Time is the Master, Time is the Key in our online tutor school class. We do not give grades in our tutor school class, you guys. There's no A, B, C. We don't do any of that. It's discussion and people learning, basically. And now we're learning on these, what's going on currently. That's where we are now in our online learning, because so much stuff is going on right now. It is impossible to, get ahead until you have to know where you're coming from in order to know where you're going. And I say that all the time. Faith without works is dead. Faith without works is dead. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. It is the law. Matthew 7:12. It's the golden rule, right? So like, share, subscribe. You guys have yourself a great day. Remember to put a comment in the comment section. You can email us at themullings@gmail.com. You can go to, if you wish to support us, we do ask for $1 for each of these videos. If you want to give more, we greatly appreciate it. That helps us out here with our people locally who are, everyone's still using fiat until we see the new USN note come in and things take full effect that way, right? To support us, go to PayPal at themullings@gmail.com and have yourself a great day. Remember, you make yourself happy, you guys. All right? Despite all the stuff that's going on, just stay focused, breathe, 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 and think. Think about what you want to see manifest at this time. Pray for the med pods to come in play immediately. So those of us who are made disabled and stuff, and all of you who are traumatized, can go into that med pod that we talked about yesterday, and within 3 to 5 minutes get full healing and go back 30 years, 25 to 30 years back to your youth. So that's what you need to focus on, all the good things that are on the table right now, and seeing all these great technologies come in, right? Do that now, because we're still in the year of the Jubilee, right? And the year of Jubilee is that all debts are to be settled, set off, right? And we're supposed to return back to common law, common sense, and the Constitution, right? Have a great day.